Good evening out there in Radio World. This is Willie Radio, 1400 AM and 95.3 FM on the air here. And this is brought to you, the show is brought to you by the Windham Region Chamber of Commerce, Energize CT, and CT Paid Leave. And again, good evening. I'm Ernie Eldridge from ES Eldridge Auctioneers, and my co-host sitting over here on the left-hand side is Dan McClintock, owner of McClintock Roofing, and he is the president of the Chamber. We have a couple of guests this evening, and Kate Judd from the Eastern Connecticut Veterans Community Center is going to be speaking first, and then Courtney Cotter, I believe it is, and Expire Living, which Dan will have as his guest. Dan, I think we probably want to thank some sponsors, do we?
We do. Yeah, the Chamber would like to thank the sponsors of our show, Energize CT and Connecticut Paid Leave. I know you have been listening to me talk about the Energize CT program for months, and you probably are bombarded with different energy companies about different programs and services. The Chamber is not a company selling you something. We hear all the time that energy bills are high, so we decided to get involved and find out how we can help both businesses and residents. If you have not had an energy assessment done on your home or business within the last 6 years, you really need to do so. There are so many new incentives, it's crazy. Like, for example, if you are a family of two and your combined income is less than $62,460, or a family of four with a combined income of less than $91,850, then you are eligible for even more incentives like insulation, windows, and new heat pumps. And you won't even have to pay a fee for this assessment. If you are interested in learning more or setting up an assessment, you can contact the Chamber or you can go to energizect.com. The Chamber is also a Connecticut Paid Leave community educator, and we are here to assist employees with applications. So many employees still do not know all the details about this program or how and when to apply. We are here to walk you through the process, help you plan for your leave, especially if you're having a baby, have a serious medical issue, or are taking care of someone else with a medical issue. And we can't promote this enough. If you work for yourself, you are a sole proprietor, what will happen if you get sick or injured? Do you have a short-term disability policy? The Connecticut Paid Leave Program is a way to help you when you are not able to work. You can enroll easily with less than private policies. The cost is a small percentage of your income. If you would like assistance or have questions about your eligibility or how to apply, email us at info@windhamchamber.com, or you can call or text us at 860-423-6389.
We'd be remiss not to mention our corporate sponsors who help us on all of our different occasions that we have. And McClintock Roofing, Hartford Healthcare, Chelsea Groton Bank, Eastern Connecticut State University, Fine Federal Dispensary, Renee's Cleaning Service, Farmer's Cow Cafe and Creamery, Pristine Power Washing, ES Eldridge Auctioneer, Green's Lawn Care and Landscaping, and Graduate Stores. I know we always have some news, don't we, Dan?
We do. I've got the Chamber news.
All right.
So, quick reminders for our veterans. The Eastern Connecticut Veterans Coffee House meets every Wednesday from 9 to 11 at the Masonic Lodge, 375 Boston Post Road in North Windham. The Robert Slate Memorial Veterans Commissary is now at 1010 Main Street in the lower level every Tuesday from 1 to 5 and Wednesday from 11 to 2. Veterans will need to park in the lower parking lot behind the building and walk up to the Chamber building. For our Chamber news, tomorrow is our business after hours at Vanderman Place at 5:30. They are located near the hospital. It's up on Valley Street. This is the annual event, and it is really amazing. The food is outstanding. There's music, prizes, lots of people. Everyone is invited. Check out our noon lunch and learn series, Brown Bag Series, it's called, held at the Chamber, 1010 Main Street, every Tuesday at noon. Bring your lunch and learn ways to improve your marketing, branding, and grow our customer base. That was actually today's subject. I went to it.
All right.
These are free, but please register. Sponsored by Chelsea Groton Bank. Next Tuesday, we're talking about customers, more customers, less guessing, understanding your audience and data. Office hours this week. On Thursday, we'll have a professional, there to help you with the anything insurance from 10 to 2. Health insurance, home, auto, business, Medicare, anything you want to know about insurance, including getting signed up and covered. You can RSVP to any of our meetings at wyndhamchamber.com. And for more information, you can email info@wyndhamchamber.com or call or text us at 860-423-6389.
Got some great stuff going on. The Vanderbilt place will be great tomorrow night, I'm sure. Anyways, I'd like to introduce my first guest, or have my first guest come on, and Kate Judd, Director of the Veteran Services at the Eastern Connecticut Veterans Center. Hi, Kate. I'm Ernie. How you doing tonight?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing just wonderful. It's nice having you on the show. Thanks for being on. Now, you're new to this position, are you?
I am. I've been here for about a month.
Okay, sounds great. Now, I know that they have moved the Veterans Center from the Crescent Street over to the Masonic Lodge. Is that where you are now?
Correct. Over on Boston Post Road, right in North Wyndham.
And what kind of things happen there at that you're doing at the Masonic Lodge?
So right now, on every Wednesday morning, we have a coffee house, and that's just a support group for the veterans to come out. Any local veteran, any age, any branch. We have coffee. We watch videos. We've got speakers that come out. And it's just a really nice time.
Well, that sounds great. No, I know veterans like to kind of gather together and talk a little bit and have just something to chat about, and I'm sure that you're taking care of that. Now, I understand the Robert Slate Museum Veterans Commissary is still open. Is that correct?
Correct. We're over on Main Street in the Chamber Building, right around the bottom.
Okay.
Yep.
I see lots of pallets out there last week. Looked like they got a pretty good delivery of food down there. And, how many veterans go to it every month? How's that? To both the coffee house and, let's say, to the Slate Memorial Commissary.
Yeah, so the coffee house varies a little bit each week. We try to have, 30, 40 at times. It's a little bit dependent on weather. But that's what we see for that. And then last month for the commissary, we had about 700 veterans that we served.
Wow. Boy,
yeah.
I did not realize that the number was that high. Now, is there any age restrictions or anything like that as far as the commissary or even your coffee house?
No restrictions. The only requirement that we have is that you serve. So yeah, we don't restrict that at all.
Okay. No, that's good to know. I'm sure that some people think, oh, geez, I'm just a young guy and I served, but maybe I was over in the Desert Storm, or maybe I was over Iraq or something like that, and maybe they don't feel as comfortable as some that maybe were in Vietnam or something like that as far as being it. So, but you take all different skirmishes, wars, whatever.
Absolutely, and we do the majority right now. We see a lot of our Vietnam guys, Korean War vets, but we would love to get them together with some of our younger, like the Desert Storm generation is as well.
Yeah, because they're not young guys either anymore.
Yeah, right.
You're right. I mean, they're in their 40s probably by now, 30s or 40s, right. I want to say is when they would be. Let's put it that way. Is there any income restrictions as far as anything that's going on here, such as like the food or anything like that? Do you have to prove that you're, can't afford the food? Let's put it. I don't know how to say it, but
right.
Okay, maybe you can help.
No. Yeah, no income restrictions. We just, again, the only restriction we have is that they did serve. It's a very open sort of environment, and it's not one of those situations where we give you like a pre-filled bag of food. You get to actually sort of grocery shop on your own. You bring your own bag, and you get to choose what you prefer.
So it's someone being honest about being they served, or do they have to bring any kind of documentation at the first time? Let's put it that way, to be part of it.
Right. No, it's an honor system, and we've done pretty well with that so far.
I would think you would. I really haven't met anybody that I would say, just pretends that they served. Let's put it that way. You either did or you didn't. How's that?
Right,
So, I was fortunate. Well, not fortunate enough. I shouldn't say that. I was in college when Vietnam was ending, so I didn't get a chance to serve. But I don't try to pretend. Let's put it that way. Now, do you have other upcoming events coming on as far as either at the coffee house or?
Yes. So we're working on a whole bunch of new programs. So we have a women's veteran lunch happening on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
We also have something called Stand Down, which is it's a nationwide event where we provide services for veterans, various services. We also have a fishing event coming up in July where you can go fishing with a veteran. We do wreath across the wreath across America around the holidays. Multiple things going on.
Now, it's all held at the coffee house at the Masonic Lodge. Is that basically where all the happenings are going to happen, or is there other places?
No. So we hold the coffee house there currently because it's an air-conditioned location. It's indoors. But the fishing event, the women's lunch, are all held out. They'll be held outdoors. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, I would think the fishing event would be, but it was the women. Yep. I know the chamber does a ladies type thing up at. Dan, help me out here. Where is
it's up at Lakeview.
Lakeview, exactly right.
Yeah, Lakeview.
Lakeview.
But this is a ladies veterans.
Okay.
And it's where are you holding that, Kate?
We're at the park by the garden on the bridge in Willimantic.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. That'd be a great spot, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. And how can some people get involved or help out some way? I mean, you're a one-man band, but I'm sure you could use some help somehow.
Yes, absolutely. So I am looking for a few committed volunteers to help with events. People just who really can appreciate the veterans or who have served as well. So they can call me at my phone number, 860-455-8129. We also have an email, which is Eastern Connecticut Veterans Center, exactly like that, Eastern Connecticut Veterans Center @gmail.com is another good way.
Oh, okay, that sounds great. Now, I'm sure there's people in the listening audience that, geez, I'd like to help out. Like myself saying I hadn't really served in the service, but I'd like to help out because I feel these people were responsible for me being able to be on the radio or doing what I want to do, type of thing. So the cemetery looked great for Memorial Day. I was out there and was able to raise a couple of flags and do a little bit of saluting and so on. Did the folks buy flags or put them out there this year or not?
We did, correct. We placed several hundred flags. We had about a dozen volunteers, and it looked really nice by the end.
Yeah, I go and I walk my dog over in the field over there in the old Wyndham cemetery. There is what I do. So my dad's a veteran, my grandfather was a veteran, and no, it did look good. I think the town does a pretty good job of keeping the place looking nice, especially for special occasions like Memorial Day or whatever type of thing. So. And do you also you did speak about the wreaths across across America? Excuse me, they're going across Connecticut too. But do you need some help in this program, or is it successful or not, or is it? I think I know this year the young lady that was here on the radio with me before was kind of promoting it, and it didn't seem as though we were getting as much attention as it should.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's definitely a program that we do need more help with. We need more sponsors. We need more volunteers. We need, maybe families with veterans who would like to sponsor their own family members' wreath for their individual. Now,
is that? Excuse me, I don't mean to step on your tongue. Is that something that if they purchased a wreath, they could put the whatever family on it, Smith's family on it, or is it just basically the wreath and you're just happy that you gave it? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so it is all kind of ordered through the same program. They're very beautiful wreaths. I mean, obviously families are welcome to do something else if that's what they prefer. It doesn't bother us, as long as we just want to make sure that every gravestone has one. That's the concern. So, and we need several hundred to do just a single cemetery.
I can only imagine just, like the new cemetery or the Willimantic one, and then you have the Wyndham one. There's several around. How can I when we do the Memorial Day and drive around, we do about 7 or 8 different cemeteries. Let's put it that way. So if you're talking several hundred for 7 or 8, that's a lot, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
Now, I know in the past I had seen before there was a trailer truck that was, Wreaths Across America trailer truck that would park in certain places so that you could view it. Let's put it that way. It doesn't seem like it was happening this year, or am I correct or incorrect?
I couldn't tell you yes or no on that, but
Okay.
I think that we will. So we're going to be planning a few more fundraisers for that throughout the summer, so that we can really make that event as big as we can this year when it comes time.
So what kind of fundraisers would someone could help you with? Let's put it that way. I mean, like I said, I'm an auctioneer, so I've done fundraisers as far as auctions and selling things like that. I mean, is there other people can get involved somehow with doing a fundraiser? Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. So yeah, if any business would like to, we have some businesses that will donate like a portion of proceeds.
Okay.
That's a really great way to help. We're going to plan a few like spaghetti dinners. We know there's been some success with that through the summer, and that can be a great way to for us to get some funds as well.
Now, do you have anything planned for the 4th of July parade at all, or maybe I'm putting you on a whatever? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So it's been in discussion. There's a whole lot going on that day. We know the town is doing a really, really big celebration, so we'd like to be a part of that in some way. But we also know that there's going to be so many other things happening. So we're just not sure what extent yet.
Yeah, I was going to say you might want to get a hold of Chris Beaudry, I think it is, from the River Room. I mean, Chris is kind of putting it together for over at Shaboose Stage, and and I'm sure he'd be more than happy to try to wiggle some of these people in. I mean, my goodness gracious! I mean, it's a celebration of winning. Let's put it that way, and we wouldn't without the veterans that we have today and with the ones we had back at that period of time. So, but. If I see Chris, he was just on the air before us. If I see Chris, I'll try to mention it to him. And you give your phone numbers again, please, would you please? Or your
Sure.
Yep.
So it's 860-455-8129, and you can reach me anytime, and we'll
And then you have an email address. You said that was where was
so
it?
it's. So my email is director, DIRECTORECT, Veteran Center, veterancenter@gmail.com.
Is it on a chamber website or something? Is there something there, maybe a link or something, or maybe we can figure? Maybe Dan is here.
Yeah, Dan's your guy for that one.
He's sitting right next to me here. Go ahead,
I'm not certain we have a link from the website, although I would not be surprised. We can double check that. And see.
I was going to say that
would be a good.
People just jump onto it.
It'd be a good place to have one because we're connected. So I'd be shocked if it's not there.
Go ahead, Kate.
We do have a Facebook, which we keep all the updates on as well weekly.
Okay.
So that's a good place for people to follow as well.
So if I go to Facebook and I go up to my question mark to see who I'm going to find, do I look for Veteran Center? Is what I look for? Eastern Connecticut Veteran Center?
Eastern Connecticut, Veteran Center.
Okay, fine. No, I will do that when I get done the show tonight, just to check out, see what's there, so I didn't have to ask so many darn questions to you. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Yeah.
And we've got a little bit of time left, but do you have anything you'd like to offer? We got like 5 minutes. Anything that you'd like to say? Hey, this is what we really need, or hey, this is what we could do, or.
Yeah, I think it's just really getting the word out that we're still around, and we are still really trying to service these guys as much as we can, and really sort of gear towards the women veterans as well as Latinos. We don't have a whole lot of that represented right now, and I think some of it is people may not know where we're operating out of now, but we really would love to meet some of these other groups.
So the Masonic Lodge, folks, for who is listening, and you can tell your people who are out there that it's right across from Walmart. How's that? I guess that's the easiest way to say it. Am I correct?
Yep.
Ernie, let me jump in.
Please.
I think sometimes people think about the veterans, all the different veterans associations, and they're thinking about the people that went away to war and such. But all of this includes people that have served National Guard, Reserve, any of the other branches. But, I mean, not all of them went away to war. Not all, some of them,
they serviced right here in the United States, or maybe they were in Germany during World War.
There was people who did their
Vietnam.
4 years, their 6, 10, whatever, and didn't go. But if you know any of these people out there, to our listeners, if you know people out there, this is a great group of people, and we really do welcome all of them into the group, right, Kate?
Right.
And I think they sometimes get forgotten, or maybe think, no, that doesn't include me. But it really does include all of those.
Well, I think she
people.
hit upon one. We have a very large Spanish population here in town, and they probably feel just a little bit standoffish about going there, type of thing. So, do you have programs for for those type of veterans? Let's put it that way, something like that, or is
right?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's been a priority of mine as of late is getting sort of a very individual experience for that going on. So ideally, we're looking for a Spanish-speaking veteran who would be willing to kind of lead a coffee house similar to what we do now, but it would be Latino-based. So someone who can speak Spanish to this half of the population who may not speak English as well as some of the rest, and they can feel comfortable in that sort of environment.
Sure, I think that's part of the problem of any organization is feeling comfortable, that you feel comfortable being there. You're not off the sideline or something like that. Kate, exactly. I think we're down to about our last minute here. I'd really like to thank you for being on the show, and thank you for being in the position that you are, because I think that's a very important position, and I know you'll do well just by talking to you. So, I
appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. We're going to breaks, folks. Thank you. Hey, welcome back from break. This is the Chamber Show here on 1400 AM and 95.3 FM. And thank Matt behind the dial. That always makes it sound pretty darn good. And I'd like to thank our sponsors again, McClintock Roofing, Hartford Healthcare, Chelsea Groton Bank, Greens Landscape and Lawn Care, Eastern Connecticut State University, Fine Federal Dispensary, Renee's Cleaning Service, Farmer's Cow Cafe and Creamery, Pristine Power Wash, E.S. Eldridge Auctioneer, and that's me, and Graduate Stores. Dan, I think you've got our second guest right here.
I do.
In the chair here.
I have Courtney Cotter here. She is the Senior Director of Children's Mental Health at Aspire Living, right? And Learning?
Aspire Living and Learning, yep.
Aspire Living and Learning. So, all right, now, this is bigger. You're at a branch, a facility in Marlborough. What would you refer to it as? A branch?
Yeah, so Aspire Living and Learning is a nonprofit organization, and we're best known for supporting people with developmental disabilities.
Okay.
So primarily we have, in the past, had adult services, so shared living opportunities, day programming for people with developmental disabilities. And we have our private outplacement academy, which is in Naugatuck, Stamford, and Trumbull. We are right now opening our new behavioral health clinic, which is in Marlborough, Connecticut. And we decided to bring it to the eastern side of the state because there were fewer services available for individuals over here.
Okay. So are you strictly in Connecticut?
So we actually are across 5 different states: Maryland, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, and New Hampshire. And we have mental health services in Massachusetts and Connecticut at present.
Okay. And the mental health in Marlborough, now that focuses on children?
Right. So we start working with kids as young as 18 months through the evaluation process. So if parents have concerns that their child might have a developmental delay, maybe they're not speaking when you anticipate that they would, or some of their motor milestones are delayed, they can come in for an evaluation so we can try to figure out what's going on. And we support kids all the way up to about age 24.
Okay. All right. So that kind of covered. So if this is, so the reason you came to Eastern Connecticut is because there was a need. Parents were asking for help. Schools. Who is it that ends up calling
At our
you to
clinic.
say, hey, there's a need here?
Yeah. So we had learned that Connecticut has one of the longest wait lists in the country for mental health services for children. And so Aspire, before I even started with Aspire, they started thinking about, let's open this line of services and make sure that we have these services available for children and families. So we provide services to typically developing children as well, with a focus on supporting people with developmental disabilities and modifying therapy to make sure that it's accessible for that population. So typically, parents and school teams are the ones that will reach out and say, hey, something's going on and I need help with my child. And in that way, we start to develop a relationship and go from there.
All right. Now, I would assume that sometimes parents or school teams, whoever, they know what the issue is, and there might be sometimes that they're scratching their head saying, I have no idea, something seems off.
Really?
And then, and is this true?
Yeah, it happens.
Get calls like this?
Yeah, it happens all the time. I feel like families a lot of times are hesitant to reach out because they feel like they're making too much of something that maybe isn't that big of a deal. But my guidance is always, if you feel like something might be going on with your child, reach out. That's what we're here for. Our first appointment is an intake appointment, and we can just talk through what it is that you're seeing, experiencing, worried about, and then help to figure out what's the next steps.
All right.
Now, so these children come in and you've kind of said, okay, I think this is where the problem is. You send them somewhere. You don't do it yourself, or your team doesn't do it, or do they do it?
We do, yeah.
You do, okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
when a parent comes for an intake appointment, they'll meet with either me or Dr. Minkus, who's the other psychologist on the team.
Okay.
And then we'll start talking about what the concerns are and determine, does an evaluation make sense? Do we want to get some more information? Or do we want to connect you with a therapist? And the therapists are on our team.
They're on your team.
Yeah, so
Okay,
we
that's
supervise
interesting.
them.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So you're the director, but
Right.
you're also the therapist, not a therapist,
Exactly. So right now I'm doing both. We're building the clinic, and so I supervise our team, but I also provide direct services as well.
Now, what are some of the more common behavioral things that somebody might see in their children or the students or whoever it is that might be,
Yeah, so I think it kind of depends on what, area of concern there is. So with regard to developmental disabilities, usually the first thing that we hear from families is that their child hasn't developed speech. And that's usually the primary concern that brings a parent in the door and says, can you do an evaluation? Does my child have autism? Do they have a different type of developmental disability? And then there's other children that there might be behavioral concerns. So maybe there's more fears than usual, afraid, to go to bed or be away from their family, afraid of certain things like spiders or snakes, afraid to go to school. Sometimes kids will experience depression, and they'll start seeing maybe their child's not eating as much or not enjoying the things that they used to like to do.
Okay.
Another common referral that we have is that in school they're having a lot of problem behavior. So, engaging in aggression toward other peers at school or refusing to go to school. And so we kind of just gather the information at the intake appointment and try to partner with parents to figure out what's going on and what the best steps are to support.
Okay.
Now, does insurance support basically will insurance pay for some of this? Let's ask it that way. So go ahead.
Yes. So we accept all major insurances and Husky. And as long as the question isn't academic at its center, insurance will usually cover it. So if we're not doing an evaluation to determine if there's a learning disability, that's more of a diagnostic evaluation, and that will be covered by insurance usually.
So you're talking like an ADHD kind of a thing there.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. And so what you're evaluating is is more of a developmental disability, which I'm talking right now, and I guess now I have no idea what the difference between what the developmental and the academic would be.
Yeah, that's a great question. So an academic evaluation is really looking at math, reading, writing. Is there a type of learning disability that's happening that's making it hard for a child to learn at school? A developmental disability would be delayed development of speech, delayed development of motor milestones like crawling or walking, sitting independently. ADHD, we're looking at something specific called executive functioning, which is a skill set that allows you to get tasks started when you need to, stay on task when you're doing something, monitor your emotions and manage your emotions. So that's what we're assessing when we're looking at ADHD. And then there's a whole variety of other things that we do to assess for depression, anxiety, behavior disorders like oppositional defiant disorder.
So what do you see trends? I mean, like, are there trends in this, your developmental issues?
Yeah, so there's two different buckets. There's definitely trends with regard to mental health, and we're seeing a lot more anxiety and depression in kids than we have historically. And some of that, there's a lot of different theories as to why that is. Some people think that it's related to greater access to social media, electronics, less sort of direct connection with peers the same age. There's also people that speculate that there's a lot more pressure on kids now than there was historically. So as kids are starting kindergarten, they're expected to read by the end of kindergarten, which used to be a target for about second grade. And so kids are experiencing increased pressure and more pressure to demonstrate skills that they may not even be ready for. So in mental health, we're seeing a lot of increases in concerns for kids. With regard to autism, we're also seeing an increase in the frequency of autism being diagnosed. And we also don't know exactly why that is. It doesn't seem to be the case of diagnostic substitution, which means that we were misdiagnosing and now we're better at it. But it does seem to be the case that we're better at identifying mild cases of autism than we used to be. And so that might be part of the reason why we're seeing an increase.
So when you're saying mild cases, we're talking about, say, a fully functioning student that has tendencies. I mean, you might just say tendencies. I don't know. Is that okay?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing that is happening that's in the news and also in research right now is identifying autism in girls. So when autism was initially identified, it was described based on the male phenotype of autism, meaning what does it look like when a boy has autism? And it used to be the case that kids were diagnosed 4 times more likely if they were a boy with autism than girls. What we're finding now is that girls engage in a behavior called masking much more often than boys, which means that they try to engage socially and they try to kind of make up for the social challenges that a person with autism experiences, which masks the social challenge that they have.
So they tend to fake it.
Exactly.
It,
that's right.
And the boys are just going to
do what they do, and it's much easier to identify.
And stay there.
Exactly.
All right.
Now, does bullying come into? I know that I've been the mayor of the town here, and I was on council and so on and so forth. And the schools would come in and they talk about bullying all the time. Now, that's probably something that you deal with a lot. Is it in your profession?
Yeah, definitely. So in people with autism, a lot of times bullying can be hard for them to identify because autism at its heart is a social learning disability. So many times the kids that I work with have a hard time distinguishing between when someone's being nice to them and engaging with them in a friendly way or when they're bullying and engaging with them in an unkind way.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then the other thing that we deal with is a lot of the bullying investigations and how to help support kids who are engaging in the bullying behaviors.
Okay, so let's say a parent their kid is a bully, let's put it that way, or being bullied. You could help them in some way, let's put it that way. Is that you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. So the first thing I would encourage them to do is to make sure the school is aware so that they can open a formal investigation. And then as it relates to the mental health clinic, we can help either identify why a child is bullying somebody else and try to help them get at the root of that, or if it's a person with autism who's being bullied, or any child who's being bullied,
Sure.
we can help them develop self-advocacy skills, figure out, if there's things going on that's happening that might be evoking the bullying, like engaging in behaviors that are bothering other kids or things like that.
Okay.
So now I would think parents with children with developmental issues also have they need support. Can they get support from your group also, or is there someplace they can go?
Yeah, we can help parents as well. We have a couple of parenting groups that we're getting started this summer. And Marlena and I, Dr. Minkus and I, both have what's called a SciPact license, which means that we can provide support to parents across the country, with the exception of just a few states. So what we're hoping to do is to pull parents together in a virtual format and talk about some of the challenges that they're experiencing in parenting, or how to support their kids.
All right, so this is something you're developing right now, the support groups.
Exactly.
That will help, which I'm sure that will help a lot with the parents being able to support their children
Exactly.
through this stuff.
That's true.
Also, if they
Yeah.
can be supported by other parents.
Exactly.
I think that's a good point. I think that kids are saying, geez, my parents can't help me somehow. And I think that's important that the parents are able to help the child and kind of move it forward. Let's put it that way. So,
Yeah.
that's a
All
good
right.
point, Dan.
That's
So-
one of the things that I enjoy most about the work that I do with parents, is helping them to feel empowered to support their child.
Okay.
Because parenting doesn't come with a manual, and I'll tell you, it's a heck of a lot harder than I thought it would be. I went into it very cocky as a child psychologist, thinking I was going to be able to do
you
this
had all
well.
the answers.
Exactly.
Until of course, you had a child.
That's exactly right. So it doesn't come with a manual, and and kids throw things at you that you don't expect. And
right,
so
right. And
yeah.
not all of it's funny.
Right, exactly. Not all of it is funny, but it's
Right,
good to have a community
right.
that you can rely on to support each other.
Yes. So now you, the school districts.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're involved heavily with the school districts. They also send children your way. They call you with issues. Tell me
Exactly.
about this.
Yeah, exactly. So we do some school consultation work, and so the relationship that we have with schools has a few different faces to it. So sometimes schools will send kids to us and ask us to evaluate the child, and to help determine what is the best sort of disability category that identifies that child. Sometimes they'll ask us to do learning-based assessments as well. So concerns about a learning disability, they'll send the child over. The school team will usually pay for that evaluation if they're sending the child, and then we can help to identify a learning disability. And then in other cases, we work in consultation with the school. So if there's an ongoing behavior issue or ongoing concern with how to support a child in accessing their curriculum, then we can go in and help work with the teachers, the interdisciplinary team, and make sure that that child's getting everything that they need in their school setting.
All right. And so I imagine if the school is sending them over, there's parents involved also. I mean, they can't
Exactly.
just say, hey,
Yeah, exactly.
6 months ago we sent your child out for evaluation and this is the answers, and the parents are shocked.
Yeah, no.
Right?
So what happens is through the PPT process, the school team will raise a concern or the parent will raise a concern, and then a decision is made for an evaluation to be completed. So parents should always be fully informed. And if they aren't by the school team, then they're going to hear from us anyway, because they're part of the process of the
I imagine they'd
evaluation.
hear
So
first.
yes.
Day one, they've got to hear from somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Okay.
now a parent can come to you and say that, I have a problem child or so on, and the school could come to you, but they have to go to the parent also. I mean, it's that type of thing is what you're saying. But you will just take a parent per se? I mean,
Absolutely. If a parent needed to contact us, they could call us or email us, and then we would get them in touch with our intake team.
What's the easiest way to email you or call you or something like that?
Yeah.
What's the easiest way?
So behavioralhealth@allinc.org is our email, and that goes directly to our intake team. Or we can be called at 203-527-0083, and that comes to our office.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Oh, so the 203 number is directly to Marlboro.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Excellent. So I guess now if a parent has concerns, I mean, parents are most likely the ones that would have concerns. They've seen the child, or actually maybe I'm all wet on that.
No, I think that is the
Where do you get
case.
most
Would
of
it be
your, where do you get most of your, where do you
Where do the referrals come from?
Right,
Yes.
there we go. That's the word I needed. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
most of the time it is parents who are the first ones to say, like, something doesn't seem right here. And even if they're not sure exactly what that is, I think there is an instinct in parents that something just doesn't seem right.
Right.
Usually their first stop is to go to the pediatrician, and then the pediatrician will usually say, go get a referral to, or go to the psychologist and have an evaluation, or they might give a diagnosis.
Right.
So parents can always just call us directly. They don't need a referral from the pediatrician to have the evaluation
Okay.
completed, or to have therapy. They can just give us a call and we'll talk to them and help them figure out what to do next.
Sure.
I think that's very important because I think parents will think, geez, I've got to go through this process and this process. I got to sign this paper. I got to do this and do that. And they just give up
Well,
is what they
right.
do. So
And I think sometimes too that people get, if they get overwhelmed with the financial look
Yep.
of it and what they think that this could potentially cost, but insurance
Right.
covers this.
And both of those things are very important to us as a team. So when someone calls our clinic, the first person they talk to is Alexis, who's our intake coordinator, and she'll get kind of the general information about what's going on. She passes it to Teresa, who does all of our insurance verification and talks parents through what their deductible is going to be, what copays would be. And then if all of that sounds good, then they'll put them on the calendar for Dr. Minkus or me. So we try to make it that there's only 3 people you're going to talk to, one who gets the information, one who does insurance, and then you're with one of the clinicians.
now let's say someone does not have insurance. Okay, let's say someone does not have insurance but would still like to use your services. I'm sure that you tell them up front what the services cost or whatever, or is the first consultation cost anything, or is it?
That's a good question. So we have an hourly rate that we'll bill for therapy, and the intake appointment is under the hourly rate. But because we accept insurance, we are not supposed to accept private pay patients.
Okay.
So mostly if it's a
Okay.
private pay patient, we'll refer them out to another clinic.
Okay, fine. Okay,
Yeah.
no, that's
Okay.
a good thing. No,
All
I
right,
think
so they
that's-
can
yeah.
still feel comfortable calling you because you can refer it
Exactly.
to where they can find help someplace.
Exactly. And we do have
help
colleagues who
with
do
that.
only private pay, and so we'll refer them to those colleagues if they
Okay.
don't have insurance, but they still want to have
Right.
help. Yeah.
Right. So, and it focuses on children. So we're talking from infant to 18, and that's your cutoff date, or how does that work? I mean, I know
Yeah.
there's pediatricians that wind up seeing kids till they're 22,
Right.
24, they're graduating
Yeah.
college,
Yeah.
and they're
What
not
their
going to the
challenges were
pediatrician
would
anymore.
maybe dictate how age they were. I'm sure.
Exactly.
There's some in their 20s that act like they're 10 or something.
Right,
You know, understand what I'm
exactly.
trying to say.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think the disability would dictate where you stop
Oh.
or something
Right.
like that.
So we'll typically see kids up till about age 24 or 25.
Okay.
And particularly people with developmental disabilities, to your point, they need help during that transition period. They're leaving high school. Maybe they're getting started with their first job. And so we can help support families in getting connected to services in the state that will be supportive of that particular population. And then we'll also do work like trying to figure out what kind of job are you interested in? How do you interview well for a job?
that's-
How do you do a
that's-
job application? Things
That's
like that.
a great. That's wonderful. It really is. I mean, if like you said, someone's in their 20s and they're trying to, come into the community, trying to work or trying to get a job. I mean, you're helping them somehow. I think that's a great thing. To be honest with you, I really do.
Thank you.
Right, right. All right, so now I'm sure there's stuff that we haven't even covered here because you're in it every day. So what sort of other stuff are we missing here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the primary things that we're doing are the therapy and evaluations at this point. But we're starting to work in collaboration with BRS, which is one state agency that does support for the transition age youth and young adults.
What
with
does BRS stand
the
for? Do you
Bureau
know?
of Rehab Services.
Okay.
Yep. And we've
Okay.
just established ourselves as individuals who participate with the autism waiver, which is through the Department of Developmental Services and also the Department of Social Services with the state. So we're a provider who can accept those funding options as well.
Okay.
So,
All right. So now, all right. So that, I don't know, for whatever reason, that just made me think about there's programs out there where, autism and other, does everything get lumped under autism? Everything, developmental disorders?
No, so autism
or are
is...
there different?
Yep, there's different categories. So
Categories.
yes, so autism is one type of developmental disability, and it's associated with certain state agencies and funding, like pools of funding. And then there's other developmental disabilities as well, like cognitive development challenges and things like that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
not all these cognitive things, developmental
Right.
things are autism. There's other
Right.
other words for other.
Exactly. There's other categories. It's a huge field. Yep.
Right. I mean, when Ernie and I were kids, there was a word and it covered everything.
Yeah. Yep.
And now, I don't know, now I feel like the only word you ever hear about is autism.
Right.
And there's the spectrum levels but that doesn't cover everything. There's
Right.
a lot of different, and you cover
All different
more than
kinds. Yeah.
autism.
Exactly. So we do specialize in supporting people with autism when there is a developmental delay, but we don't know what is causing it. So there might be that we do an evaluation and we're saying, yes, there's developmental delay here. There's speech delay or cognitive delay, but we don't know why. The next thing I usually refer is for genetic testing. There's a ton of different genetic disorders that can be contributory, and sometimes we can identify a specific genetic reason for the developmental delay. And then there's times that they go for genetics, they come to us, and it really doesn't fit any of the categories. And so it's either just a straightforward cognitive delay or a straightforward communication disorder. And those are different types of developmental delays as well.
Okay. So when you're working with a child, I assume sometimes it must be that your goal is to be able to get them to be able to function as best as it's ever going to be. And sometimes, though, you might be able to get them to function, high function
Yep.
in society with everybody else, and people might not even know the difference.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know. So that's true?
Absolutely. So one of my mentors always talked about glasses as a metaphor, and it really resonated with me. So essentially, when you have a vision impairment, you might start by correcting that vision impairment by having glasses. And so it's obvious to other people that there's something that's on your face that's helping your vision to improve so that you can function in the world.
Right.
As you get older, you can sometimes transition to contacts. And so many of us wear contacts. We still have the vision, but you no longer see that support that's in place.
Okay.
And that's always my goal for people with developmental disabilities is they may continue to need the supports, but we make them as invisible as we possibly can so that that person has the opportunity to be the most participatory, independent person in their community that they want to be.
Right. Well, I jumped to the next level. I had laser surgery.
See that?
20-something years ago.
I still got the contacts in.
I'm still a four-hour.
There you go. We got the whole spectrum here.
Whole spectrum
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
And you folks can't see it.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think we're down to about our last minute, are we not? So a minute and a half.
All right. So how about you give us your contact information again for the people who do want to get a hold of you?
Perfect. So behavioral health at allinc.org is our email address, and 203-527-0083 is the best number to reach us.
Okay. And do you have a website? Is there someplace people can jump in there and browse around
Yep.
a bit if they want to do that before they call?
Absolutely. allinc.org is our website, and there's also a form on there that they can fill out, and that'll come straight to our intake team also.
Okay. All right. So I have an event we can talk about because we have Courtney is a new member.
Yes.
we're
talking about the Tavern night. Are we going to be talking about?
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Vanderman Place tomorrow night.
Oh, geez,
we can
I
talk
hope that
about
you're gonna
Tavern
come.
night
You
coming
got
up
it.
also.
Yeah, but no Vanderman Place. is tomorrow
Vanderman
night.
Place, they're having their business after hours tomorrow night. So, and you've met them because you went to the last health council meeting.
I did,
also.
yes.
So you should come on into town and go to Vanderman Place. They've got a lot of. They're going to have lots of good food and stuff. We talked
And
about
some
it earlier
music,
tonight.
and a little bit of this,
So,
a little bit of that. So
yeah, it's going to be.
Perfect.
They've got it set up
Usually
with
they're
tents
really good,
outside
so.
and all
Sounds
that.
like
so
fun.
it's going to be fun.
All right, very
All
good.
right.
Courtney, thanks for coming on the show. I know that we appreciate it very much. So
It was
we're all
fascinating.
Thank you for having
we're
me.
done. We're done. See you next week, folks.